This time on Woody's garage. That meat grinder is baloney.
Alright, it's the next day, and I'm going to take it apart. I had another thought that maybe the flywheel key sheared again. Maybe that was the noise. And if it did, like, why did it shear again? But we're going to do this inside today. It's a beautiful day out, but I'm going to do it inside. Alright, let's take the shroud off and take a look at the flywheel, etc. Yep, that's what happened. Sheared another one off. Why is that happening? Timing? I mean, when I looked at this thing, I looked for evidence of, like, the person before me, like, adjusting the mag here. But it doesn't look like there's been a wrench on that in forever, you know? But I suppose something internal, you know, something binding up could also break a flywheel key. So, let's continue. Let's take the head off. Muffler off, there's no gasket. Nothing looks obviously bad right off the bat. I gotta put a pulley on there so I can turn it and see how it moves. Exhaust valve. The pulley's slipping a little bit. There's no key. Everything looks fine here. I still think it's the governor just shattered inside. Okay, it doesn't look like there's any set screws in there. But I bet that's going to be a little bugger to get off. Well, I just noticed something while I was trying to get this little PTO pulley off here. The arrow is pointing this way. Isn't it supposed to be pointing towards the front? I believe it is. That could be the problem. But right now, this is the problem. Well, yep. We tried drilling out one of the set screws. And we kept tapping and we broke the fucking end of the PTO off. I think that might leak like crazy. It might not. I don't know. Pissed off. That set screw came out fine. This one was totally stripped out. I tried drilling it out. I thought I was down to all the way to the shaft. It was leaking like if you drop some PB blaster in there. It was distributing, it seemed to be. But the thing just wasn't budging. Got it, and I couldn't get a puller on it. Got a screwdriver behind it and just snapped. Just for the heck of it, I pounded that shaft through. And it didn't put up that much of a fight. It's just too bad that I couldn't get a puller behind it, because I think it would have come off. Yeah, I'm wondering if it's trash now. If there's like going to be no support in there for the camshaft. Another broken camshaft for me. Yeah, the oil still is metallic-y. And it's black too, so it was probably a case where this, you know, the oil was never changed, etc. Alright, here we go. I promise I haven't peeked. really getting hung up on the seal here. Clean off this shaft a little bit. Well, here we are. Governor looks intact, so it wasn't that. Cam. Might be usable still, I'm hoping. What else do we see? Can you see? Looks like there's a stress crack right under the crank here. I mean, all from that piston. Got a shim here. The tappets here. Probably can't see that. Alright, this is what we got. Dipper. Yeah, tappets. Where the camshaft goes in looks okay. You can see a little bit of damage here. The bottom of the cylinder. You can see stress cracks right in there from whatever the hell's happened. Probably JB weld those. Even turning it like this, there is resistance. You know, and there really shouldn't be. There's nothing holding it up. So that piston must just be in backwards. And you know, over the years I've just thought, like, what difference does it make? Well, I guess it does make a difference. We'll take it out and we'll turn it around and we'll see if it moves better. They're very tight as well. Jesus. Let's put some magic marker on the back of the bottom of the clamp here. Just, it's probably going to wash off, but I'll try to keep it in mind that that's the rear of the... Well, that could be on backwards too, who the hell knows. I got the fiberglass rod right on the piston. It's coming like a new baby. Here we got the piston. And it looks good. I mean, I see a little bit of, well, it's not cleaned off. You know, see a little scratch in there, but nothing really bad. What I'm wondering, okay, there's the arrow going forward. Is this the right way for the connecting rod to be pointing? Like this part facing forward or that part facing the rear? I guess I'll have to find that out, because you get oil down that hole down there, and that would certainly make a difference. The journal, what that thing's called? Yeah, I think it is. That feels really nice and smooth. And on the crank, I know it's hard to see there, but that feels really good too. So look into those things. And I guess we need to determine too if this cam is actually going to work. Damn, I know if they're only 10 bucks, right? Oh, that part goes in first. You know, I mean, that looks like there'll be enough support to hold it. Hey, things are looking up, sort of. Okay, here we got a diagram There's a crank, there's the rod. You can see the long part points to the rear of the block. So you can see that there's definitely a point where I don't think the piston goes that low, although maybe it does. Maybe that's the top ring at that line. Not sure. But it doesn't feel bad. It may look like, you know, there's scratches, but you can't feel a thing. Now, I didn't see a lot of information online. I asked on the mini bike forum, like, should that go forward? Yes, I think it should. It was backwards. And this also has, I don't know if you can see in there. Let me get the flashlight. But I do see a little Tecumseh Indian head in there. So it is a Tecumseh piston. But the rings don't seem to have the typical bevel. I believe they have a bevel that kind of sinks in on the top, but I could be wrong. And then where they come together, there's supposedly like a little notch, which I also don't see on this. Oil ring looks fine. We're going to put the piston back in, take out the circlips, turn the rod around. Actually, I think the rod's right like this. No. This is the back side, the longer side. So the piston, I think, is on backwards. We've got one clip out, so we ought to be able to get the pin out now and just revert it. Don't have to take off the other clip. Rod looks good. Nothing wrong with that. Now I think we're going to go outside because we're going to wash things down with gas and stuff and get things, surfaces clean, etc. Crank comes right out. Just pop it right out. And it looks really clean, like journals. Other surfaces, or they're not journals. Must be like some kind of factory marking or something. Or bird turd or something. You know, I don't think those are stress cracks. They look like seams kind of from it was made. Cylinder, I think I could use a hone. Coil. Yeah, it's nice and scratched up. Okay. Kind of the thing to do would really be to check the end gap on the rings. I mean, just taking the rings off, putting them in the cylinder, and seeing how much gap there is where they come together. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to risk breaking the rings, but I am going to look at it as I put the piston into the cylinder to see if they're too tight. Okay, we got the rings offset. One here, one pointing forward. They're all in there. That piston moves hard. want to see the end gap, and I blew it. Let's see if I can get the other one to... That's the second ring, and that's where the... how much end gap it's got. Looks okay to me. I don't know, let's see what the oil ring looks like. There's the oil ring end gap. Should be fine. I don't know why it feels so stiff. Maybe it's not. You can kind of see this serrated edge. These only really go together one way. You know, so that they made up. You can also still see my marks there. Okay, we got those snug, and I just mean snug, on each side. There's no key in this thing. And I mean, even with this friction, it should be moving better than that. And that's pretty hard to turn. Don't like that. What the hell's wrong? Don't know. See what I mean? The piston's not moving. And we got that for movement here. So I mean right there. Right piston out. Crank. And it feels tight. First pin feels tight. Side to side. Nothing. Beautiful. What's going on? So I got the word that actually the arrow is supposed to point towards the valves, but still we have some really shitty movement. It's not turning over very fluently at all. Not quite sure what to do. That play at the bottom of the stroke bothers me. Okay, we took the cam, we beveled it a little bit at the end and flattened it out a bit. Alright, I put the cam in. You can see there's a little mark right there, and there's a little dot right there. Those two go together. I'll put the head back on. Seems to turn over a lot smoother. Makes you feel better to have it back together too, as much as it is. I think just the side cover holding the crank up helps a big deal. Well, I pulled back off the side cover realizing I did not put the shim or the washer here on. And for the love of me, I just cannot find it. I've looked everywhere. Found the bugger. It was neatly wrapped in a rag. Okay, we got the muffler on. We got a new gasket on there. And I'll tell you, this thing turns over more like a regular engine now. I'm just waiting on trying to figure out if maybe I put the wrong key in there, since it had a broken key when I got it. I'm asking the guys on old mini bikes, what does the key look like for an HS50? Because if you do a search for it, like everything under the sun comes up. You know, the offset type, the type that step down, straight ones, half moons, everything comes up. So I have no idea. So I got it back together, and new spark. So I'm redoing this connector here, which holds those two wires, the condenser and the wire from the coil. Jeez, put the camera on it. Open it up with a razor blade. That wire goes there. And the one from the condenser goes there. I'm going to try the old condenser. Just with better connections. Still really hard to pull. Yeah, next morning. I was going to try to start it, but somebody recommended on the old mini bike site to lap the crankshaft where the flywheel goes on, because there might be something holding it up so that it's not sitting totally where it's supposed to be, and I thought that was a good idea, so I'm going to do that. Look at the flywheel. Doesn't look bad. But I'm going to I have valve grinding compound, that's all I got. But yeah, I could be holding it up. I'm going to take a Scotch-Brite first and go around it. And then the valve compound. Yeah, we cleaned up the shaft and the flywheel with like 600 grit and then the Scotch-Brite. Now, I think the valve compound is probably going to be a little more aggressive than the stuff they use. I think it's called Clover. I've never heard of it till somebody posted it. We'll put a little bit of this on. Oh yeah, that's pretty aggressive. You can feel it. You can see it. Maybe I shouldn't use that. I think that's too aggressive. I changed my mind. Let's put the two together. Let's see how they rotate. It feels pretty clean. Yeah, I think that stuff's too aggressive. Okay, I decided to strap it down to the old snapper there because it's lower, heavy, ain't gonna budge. I don't even know if it's gonna start. Cheating. That didn't sound good. Did you hear that? Sounded like another flywheel key.